All right, folks, welcome back to another edition. As always, we got the big man in the house. How we doing there, Big Rob?
Good. How about yourself, Tom?
Good, man. We did not have any golf on this week, Rob. But
We didn't.
what we did have on, Rob, was my Wolverines taking it to the Ohio State. Did you catch any of that game?
Yeah, I was actually up in Wisconsin for a family party, and we're at it was at the Abbey Yacht Club, and they had them on it was on the TVs at the bar, and we're all sitting there just in like disbelief of how Ohio State got manhandled for the second half. That was nuts. Absolutely nuts.
Absolutely manhandle. That's a great word. I love that word.
I mean, the 2 picks in the second half I saw, I believe, and it wasn't even close.
Yeah, I mean the first half was close. I thought Ohio State might start to run away with it, and then obviously Michigan had those 2 long, wide open touchdowns, and I think that's kind of what changed the momentum. And then to your point, Ohio State didn't do shit in the second half.
Yeah,
outscored I think 28-3. But yeah, I mean that's the whole reason I don't bet, Rob. I mean,
I was going to ask. I remember you don't. Yeah, I mean,
no, I no faith. I mean, granted, JJ McCarthy hasn't looked that good all year. That was obviously his best game to date, and that's the reason we went after him. The guy's going to be a stud, but he played great. Obviously, the coaches made nice adjustments on their weapons. It looked like Ohio State did make adjustment in the second half, which was great. But yeah, now it's on to the Big Ten championship. And how about your Irish?
Are they playing? They're playing Purdue this weekend. Is that what it is? And then what I also see, the one quarterback is going in a transfer portal. I saw today.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a guy leaving Michigan for the transfer portal. Unhappy with Harbaugh or the system.
Sure.
But,
yeah.
I think we're gonna be all right. What about your Fighting Irish?
Oh God, I was texting back and forth with Vince all night, sitting there watching it. I mean, the only good part was I was sitting next to my tree watching it with the lights on. It was the defense just looked terrible. I mean, the way
they sure did.
Oh, just the missed tackles, what should have been sacks ended up not being sacks, and the yards gained from that. It was just. I texted Vince on the one play. I said, "Man, this is the most embarrassing run I think I've seen." Watching them, it was just absolutely terrible.
I have to agree. Hate to see it, Rob. I hate to see
it. Yeah, right.
I wish they were better.
Yeah,
wish they were better.
8-4 8-4, right, for the season.
The Irish
were they? I believe.
No, I don't think so. I think they were
7-5.
Yeah, the last time I looked, I think they were 5-3. So that was 3 games. Yeah, maybe 7-5, maybe 8-4. I don't know. They stink though, Rob. Hopefully next year.
There's always next year, right?
Yeah, always next year. Who would have thought? After Brian Kelly leaves, I thought he was the disease there, but apparently not.
I don't know. I mean, LSU got lost this past weekend too, didn't they?
This is true. They sure did. In some other golf news, though, Cam Smith won the Australian PGA Championship. That was the only event going on.
Yeah,
Cam Smith was, obviously the highest ranked player in that field. He should have won.
But it's always. I mean, he's playing at home. It's always hard. There's a lot of pressure with that. But obviously being over there. We caught, you fought early in the morning. You saw the results and stuff like that. But I thought golf Twitter was hilarious about it with like the live comments and the comparisons and PGA, and it was in full force this weekend about it.
It sure was. There's been a lot of and that's probably why, because there's no event going on. So golf Twitter has just been bananas. Obviously, you have the sad news of Tiger withdrawn from the Hero.
It does suck.
Yeah, sucks big time. And then his presser.
That's pretty good today.
Yeah. More importantly, he's on the same, idea of Rory, and he wants Rory gone before there's ever a talk with Liv. So it seems like that's a common theme.
I did like his comment I like this comment about I could hit any shot you ask me to. I just can't walk.
Just can't walk. Yeah. But it was also interesting his view on OWGR.
Yeah.
He kind of sides with Rahm opposed to Rory. He thinks the system's flawed.
Mhm.
He thinks that they're probably going to revamp that. They've already done it once. He said it could be done again. So it's nice to see him back in the picture and doing pressers and stuff like that. But it also blows that he withdraws from the Hero with plantar fasciitis or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's sad news, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on. Live in PGA Tour, obviously still going back and forth.
You see that Liv is opening up their season at Mayakoba?
I did. Oh yeah. I mean, everything they do, it's obviously pretty scripted and targeted, like to cause some type of controversy.
Sure.
And they just stir the pot.
Well, I think Norman wants chaos a little bit.
Oh, he lives in chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that nobody likes the guy. And I mean, investors have to realize, especially now, Tiger says it, Rory says it. They have to be sitting there like, all right, get this guy the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
And then, potentially maybe we could have a sit down with PGA Tour. Other than that, Rob.
How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was great. It was really good. Great food. I think I went through 3-4 rounds. I sent you a picture of.
Yeah, you said I was that your first plate. I was pretty jealous about because we weren't eating until later in the day.
Yeah, we always start at my sister's pretty early for the noon game. Her husband does a hell of a job cooking. Food was phenomenal. And then, had 2-3 rounds that day, sent you the Thanksgiving Day sandwich the next day.
Oh yeah.
You sent me yours that night.
I made that too quick. I ate that too soon. I had to be rolled out of Shane and Erin's house. It was terrible.
Really?
Oh God. Shane was like, "You're making your sandwich already?" I was like, "Yeah, I've been waiting for this thing all year. I can't wait." I fucking make it and I inhale it. And then I sit there and like, I felt like I was getting, the meat sweats from the turkey, just so much food. Like I'm just like sitting there uncomfortable as hell. I was so mad at myself.
Oh yeah. The next day I was very uncomfortable.
And then Katie decides to eat the leftovers on Friday, which why I'm outside putting all the Christmas decorations up, and that was awesome. I didn't get to make a sandwich on Friday.
Yeah, when you texted me back that, I was like, man, Big Rob's got to be hot right now.
I was pissed.
Oh, did you let her know about it?
Obviously no. As marriages go, you want to keep some stuff to yourself so that later, especially with golf, coming back around the corner, you don't want to.
You got to pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, exactly. You want to,
So
there was plans like I'm sitting there Saturday night with cousins. Sitting there talking about making, the golf trip plans already for this summer coming up. So stuff like that makes me, just keep my mouth shut and just move on.
Oh yeah. I hear that. Did you have a bowl of cereal or something instead?
What did I'm on a big, was that Bare Naked, the granola, that peanut butter granola, big kick on that now with a little bit of milk. So yeah, that's what I had.
All right. Rob, I went to Home Depot on Wednesday, Black Wednesday. So my strategy over the last couple of years is because we're real tree people. That's just the way I was raised.
No, hey.
I continue that tradition. So my strategy, because I don't like being late to the game. So my strategy the last couple of years is I usually go get the tree on Black Wednesday.
Okay.
And then, I put it in the stand, but it's got to kind of unfold. And that takes a couple of days before you can put the lights and the decorations on it. So I went and did that Wednesday. But I'm only off Wednesday, Thursday. So my tree has been sitting in the dining room, just bare naked, because my wife and I have a tradition where we decorate it together. And then obviously with the addition of Lily, we want to get her involved. So there was no way about it. Like I couldn't just do it during the day by myself, which I really wanted to. But I got to wait for the family. So tomorrow is the big day. But what I wanted to talk about is how badly I got absolutely banged at Home Depot. every year I go in there and shout out Home Depot, because for all of
Do
you
you
guys,
always buy it from Home Depot, or
so
you don't go to like the corner, like the lots?
so I
The
was just
parking
going to
lot?
say, it's a little hidden secret. I used to do that, but you get pretty banged at those places because they're like specialty places.
Sure.
And maybe Depot has raised their prices over the years, because I've noticed it gets higher each year. But I'm telling you, like 4 or 5 years ago, you'd be able to get a nice, 6-footer for like $48, $50.
Okay.
Anyways, usually it's around like 60, 65. But every year I always forget which tree I get, whether it's a Douglas fir or a Fraser fir or what. And I literally had like 35 minutes. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go run, grab it, park in the fire lane, jump out, grab the tree. Rob, I get up to the register. The lady's like, 174. I said, excuse me? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, these are usually like 65, $70. She's like, no. And then I looked at it and I'm like, oh, well, it is a 9 to 10 footer. I usually get a 6 to 8 footer. And then I'm like, well, that is a Fraser fir. I believe I get a Douglas fir. I'm like, you know what, whatever. I'll just take it. So,
Sure.
my truck, went home, threw it in the backyard, for the night, undid it on Thanksgiving, put it in the stand, had to trim off a little bit of the top because it's a monster.
Really?
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's absolutely massive. So I won't.
Yeah, but you got high ceilings in your living room.
Yeah,
don't
but
you?
it's got to be towards the window,
corner.
and obviously
Okay,
the
in the corner. Yeah,
ceiling
yeah.
gets a little bit shorter as it goes down. So I noticed it was a Fraser fir. I'm almost positive we get a Douglas fir, which is a little bit more like fatter. This
Okay.
one's kind of more. It's a nice tree, but it's more like elongated, and it hasn't folded out as much as I thought it would.
Okay.
Anyhow, so yeah,
You guys ever go cut your tree? Go cut your own tree?
no.
Not into that.
Yeah, I've thought about it. Maybe when Lily is,
I was gonna say a little bit older.
yeah, maybe when they're older, that would be something cool to do. I try to stay away from like the apple picking, the pumpkin patches, the getting down the tree, all those ridiculous activities. I just try to stay away from.
Sure. No, yeah.
But to your point, I think it would be pretty cool to do when the kids are a little bit older. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Everything else, I saw you got your lights up. Your house looks great.
Yeah, I had to go to Home Depot 3 times on Friday, so that's always awesome when you when you run out of stuff or you forget something. Like, had to go get a new extension cord, had to get another strand of candy canes. It was funny, but yeah, Friday there was insane. People were like fighting over each other for stuff. It was just I don't know what I was thinking. I should have done what you did and got everything prior to. But yeah, everything's up. It was funny. I was laughing because I got it up Friday. And I've mentioned before, but in the cul-de-sac, there's 2 other dads, and they, it's not a competition, but it is a competition.
You're full of shit if you don't think it's a competition.
Right. So the one buddy, he pulls in, and it's like 4:00, and it gets darker now, and he's like, and I have everything on a timer, so turned on at 4. I was like, me and Nolan were out there because he helped me with the candy canes were going nuts, and he's like, motherfucker. So he goes. I go pick up food from the patio for dinner. And so I get back at like 5:30 when it's dark as hell. Yeah. He's up on the roof putting up the lights. I'm like, you're nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. And it's like, because we don't have street lights. Like we have one like far away. So everything is dark as hell. He's up there by himself. I'm like, do you need me to hold a flashlight for you? But yeah, so that's always fun. So everybody's got their stuff up in the cul-de-sac pretty much. So
very nice. The candy canes was a great addition. Also, the patio is fire. And number 3, I've been in that guy's position before with a headlamp on my head on the roof. It is not fun, but it's sometimes you just got to get it done.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, I want to get it done. And
the competition of the neighbors will make you get it done.
Oh yeah. He didn't want to be the only one not having his lights on. I get it.
Yeah. Speaking of, that actually reminds me. I've been trying to get into a theme here with the fam on Christmas movies, and I've just been dying to watch National Lampoon's.
Oh yeah. That's the text going back at Clark. I've been dying laughing. Like, Griswold, get out there and finish your lights.
It's unbelievable. I mean, a top 3 Christmas movie for sure. She did watch Home Alone the other day. She watched like half of it, and I was surprised because it's not like animated or anything.
Right. Yeah.
So she seemed to dig that. But in other news, Rob, we had our very own Kyle Matkaitis on for an interview on Wednesday as well. For those that don't know, Kyle, local player, very good player, scratch player, plays in a lot of the state am and other big events. Was a member at Calumet for a while. Anyhow, he played in the U.S. Mid-Am qualifier at Flossmoor. He won that in a 5-for-1 playoff, then went and played in the U.S. Mid-Am at Erin Hills. It was awesome. I mean, Kyle walked us through his entire, experience, kind of his mindset, what he learned from it, etc. So actually, we'll just dive right into that right now, Rob.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, folks, welcome back. We are joined by our very own Mr. Kyle Matkaitis. Kyle, how are we doing?
I'm good, Tom. We're in, man.
Good. For those listening, Kyle, though, recently just played in the U.S. Mid-Am at Erin Hills. But prior to that, qualified at Flossmoor in a 5-for-1 playoff. So we're going to start there. So did you know where you were at, say, on 17T? Did you know, hey, I have to come in at par on 18 to get in this playoff or potentially win it? Or did you know where you were positioned at?
No. I never looked that day. Like, I'm not superstitious about it all. Like, sometimes I'll look just on that particular day. I wasn't looking, didn't want to know. Cause I think I made the turn. I made the turn at 3 and then at birdie 10, my 10th, which was the first. So I was 4 under through 10 at Flossmoor. I figured I was, probably in the running.
Right.
So the rest of the way in, I just wanted to play well. I think I shot 70. So I was at 3 through 17, made a good par on the 8th, and then hit a terrible drive on 9, ended up bogeying 18. Didn't know where I was at, finished at 2. And as I was walking off the course, I think then I looked, but I if I remember correctly, I was the first round out. So I had finished pretty early.
Yeah.
So I knew 2 was a good round. And then I think I had to hold on for like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours or something, to figure out that I was actually in.
Right.
So no, never looked at it.
Wow. Okay. So now everybody finishes up, right? And the 5-for-1 is happening. You guys, I'm assuming, played 18 again?
No. So we went to, what is it? So 18's a par 5 coming into the clubhouse. So we went to 17.
Okay.
17, the hard par 4, dogleg right up the hill. You got the water, probably like 300 out.
Right.
And then up the hill. So we played 17, 18. Started on 17.
Right. But was it one and done or was it aggregate of 17, 18?
So I think it's actually single elimination. There was 5 of us. There was a double in the group at 6. So he was, I guess, immediately out. Then 2 bogeys and 2 pars.
Okay.
So I didn't know actually what would happen. I was one of the pars on the first hole. So I carried on. I didn't know what to expect going into the next tee. I thought it just reset.
Yeah.
So I figured now all 4 of us were still playing for that final spot. But as I walked onto the 18th tee, they said, Kyle, you and Andrew, you guys are playing for the one spot and the first alternate. And then you other 2, Kyler, and I forget the other guy's name, you guys are playing for second alternate. So after getting through the first playoff hole, immediately now it was just, 50% chance either I got the spot or not.
Right. Yeah. So you're pretty much not guaranteed a spot, but you're somewhat already in.
At least got an alternate spot.
Right. Which, did that take any pressure off you going into 18?
It just flipped a switch, I think.
Yeah.
Because like I said, walking up, so, and just to reverse, like it was just the 2 of us that parred, but I knew only one guy was eliminated. So I knew I parred. I thought maybe I would be, first on the tee or second on the tee, but I thought all of us were in it. And then they said that, and it was like, okay, like that's comforting knowing that we got one of the two.
Right.
But now, and then almost immediately it was like, all right, now, like you want that spot, go get that spot. You got to play this guy heads up for the spot, go get it. Like, let's go.
Right. So it's just you and him on 18, pretty much. But obviously the other two in the group are playing for second ultimate.
Yeah, all four of us were playing the hole though.
Who tees off first?
I believe I did. Yeah, I think I believe I did. I teed off before the guy I was playing against.
Okay.
Just for that one spot.
Sure.
So 18, what's the worst thing you can do on 18? Hit it left OB. Like that's the worst thing that you can do. In regulation, I played it right of the bunkers, like in the rough, hit it up on the green or just short of the green, chipped up and down. Same thing on this tee shot. It was like, all right, you can't be out of bounds left. It was just about to start to rain. So I was like, all right, aiming at the bunkers, you hit it straight, that's okay. If you pull it left, you're in the fairway. You push it right, you were over there earlier, you know what you have, that's fine. Right. So I did that. He did the same thing after. He pulled it, he was left-handed. He pulled it a little bit further than me and was maybe like 10 yards ahead of me. So now we're going second shot into 18. It was like 235 away in the rough. He's left-handed. I'm comfortable cutting the ball out of the rough. So 235 away, I'm thinking, I've got a flyer lie. I could like nuke, or hit a 3-iron pretty good here.
Yeah.
And if it launches high and doesn't spin, like I could cover that front bunker. The bunker it was at 18 at Flossmoor's front left. So just over the bunkers.
Yeah.
Hit the best 3-iron of my life. Landed just over the bunker. It was maybe a little bit softer that day than it normally would be at Flossmoor.
Yeah.
I thought it rolled off the back of the green. I got up there. It was 12 feet down the hill for eagle. But he was a great player. I thought I was in a pretty good position on that particular shot.
Yeah.
Because I knew he was going to have to try to hook the ball a little bit out of the wet grass, from 230 yards away. I was like, I don't know if that's going to come out too great. And of course he had a great shot, but it was short of the green. Yeah. He tipped up. He had like 7 feet for birdie. I had 12 feet for eagle. I nuzzled that thing down there. Like, didn't want to roll it by. Like, probably wasn't trying to make it right. With any sort of pace. Like, just hoping I caught the right line and speed. I had like 18 inches left. He rolled his birdie putt past from 7 feet to, I don't know, probably like 4.5 feet past, and then missed a comebacker for par.
Oh,
so I had like, so at that point I had like 18 inches, for birdie. I could 2-putt,
right.
It was in.
Right.
And I'll never forget the guy I was standing next to, his name was Kyler. But like when Andrew rolled his par putt past, and I only had, basically a tap in, like I couldn't believe he 3-putted from 7 feet.
Yeah.
So like when he rolled it past and I realized like he was in for bogey and I just had a 2-putt from there, I was like just in shock.
Yeah.
I was like, and I like looked to my left and this guy Kyler, who I'd never met before, he like looked at me and just goes, "You got it."
That's awesome.
And I was like, "Do I?" I was like, "I gotta." He's like, "You're not gonna 3-putt." I was like, "That's true." Like, I'm not.
I mean, that feeling alone right there had to be, to your point, we talked about this earlier, some type of validation of where your game, has gone. I know you've put in a ton of work over the last couple years. You've been playing competitively for a little over 10 years, would you say?
Yeah. So I started playing, I think we talked about this, Nemaga events in 2012.
Yeah.
So 10 years. This would be like the 10th year of competing after high school. Like I played in high school, not in college. And then probably 3 years after college, started playing again.
Right. So I'm assuming, that sense of relief. Okay, I just gotta tap this in, which I'm sure you did. And then pulling the ball out of the hole. Did it hit you right there, or did it take a minute? And then, maybe when you were alone by yourself in the car, were you just like, holy shit?
Oh God, no. So it hit me probably, 4 seconds after I pulled the ball out of the hole, or maybe 30 seconds. I don't know. Cause I went to walk off the green, started pouring rain.
Yeah.
And I was the first one there. So I was one of the first tee times. I was the first one there. At that point, when I ended up leaving after like taking pictures, for CDGA and stuff, I was the last car out of the lot.
Really?
Like, yeah. Yeah. So like when I left there and when I got in the car and like it's pouring, like I ran to my car, got all my stuff in, I'm soaking wet. I'm just in there like,
Did you start screaming at all?
Yeah, probably. Like I gave as I left, I gave myself like, a solid like opportunity to like let some relief out in the bathroom, like right afterwards, like just walked in there, kind of like threw some water on my face and was just like, holy shit. Like,
right.
All right. Like finally did it. And to your point about like the game, like I thought I didn't think I threw it away. I knew I should have shot probably, or could have shot, 5 under. So it wasn't like my best round that got me through, which is encouraging.
Right. Well, I mean, you were talking about it earlier, like, the point where you got to win a 5-for-1 to go play in the U.S. Mid-Am at Erin Hills says a lot about where your game was at. So to be able to kind of say, man, this is a great achievement. This kind of confirms and validates like all the work that I put in, and I'm sure you've seen the progress over the years, but I'm sure there was no, validation quite like that.
No, not at all. And, and that progress, like you need, I feel like I need that validation because that progress goes both ways. Like as I've gotten better, there's times when I'm pursuing it where, I go backwards.
Yeah.
And like, I know what I'm doing is kind of the cause of me going backwards.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping that once that's then ingrained, I'll go forward. And it seems, every year I've been able to improve, little by little, bit by bit every year. And like, I keep a consistent handicap. So like I use that as a gauge. I log every round that I play and just, that should give me an idea of like, what's my best handicap? What's the best I'm playing at any given time?
Right. But I'm sure after a certain point of beating balls, it's like, okay, well, where does this go from here? And to get to that point. So now you're going to play at the U.S. Mid-Am, right? You're getting prepared. And I know I talked to you, it was like a week out or 2 weeks out from the Mid-Am. I text you, I'm like, hey, kind of what are the plans? Do you have to get a caddy? Like just trying to scoop as much info. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I remember you told me you were sitting down watching old footage of former U.S. Opens that were played at Erin Hills, so that you were basically scouting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just watched. So it's great because it was 5 years ago. The U.S. Open was there. I went up there. So it was awesome to walk a U.S. Open at that course and then know that I was going to play one. So. And I've played Erin Hills a bunch of times outside, probably played it a handful of times. So like I knew the course, but I kind of want to see like how the pros played it. And I've never played a USG event, so I didn't know exactly how their setup is, fast, long, firm, all those things that you always hear about, but you actually want to see, I'm sure I was able to take something away from it. And I knew long was going to be important, especially on Erin Hills. I didn't realize initially that, when you play a lot of these times, and I guess maybe I'd heard this before, but, I thought all of the rounds would be at Erin Hills. I didn't realize there was going to be 2 courses up there.
Yeah.
So, I knew Erin Hills and I was watching videos for that, but then probably the next week I was watching all the overheads of Blue Mount, that course, looking at all the overheads of, all there, which were completely different than the videos, if I remember correctly.
Wow. So now let's go like a day or two out. You get there. Let's get to this point. You get there, right? And I'm assuming you have multiple practice rounds before your final round or your official round on what you kicked off on a Friday or Saturday?
Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you play two practice rounds?
Yeah, so it was nice. We were supposed to have weather that week, and being in our backyard was fantastic. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes to get up there.
Right.
So the way it operated was you were able to arrive at like noon on Wednesday. And they told you this. I got all this information maybe like a week and a half beforehand, but you're able to arrive at noon on Wednesday. You have to register, there's lunch. They start opening the practice facilities. Registrations, you go through this big room and you get all your player credentials and headshots and all that fun stuff. Player packet, caddy packet, all kinds of stuff. Like it seems like you're checking into a big event. Right. So I had it planned out, a week. Once I got all the itinerary, which was like 5 pages long, like I planned out hour by hour, when I would go up there, because I just wanted to be in some sort of I want to have some sort of structure.
Yeah. Right.
Not knowing how to do these things and make sure that I was eating and not, driving around, make sure it was all kind of smooth.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, got up there Wednesday, went straight to Erin Hills, practiced, could have practiced all day. Cause it was just awesome. It was just an awesome feeling being there.
Yeah.
Had to take myself off of that, go home, got some sleep. I believe I played Erin Hills Thursday for my practice round. Then I played Blue Mound Friday for that practice round, walked it, just got a feel for the course.
What kind of range balls did they have?
The best. I mean, it was.
What were they?
And I knew to expect this, but just the feeling of this was awesome. There's all Pro Vs. It was red bag, black bag. You walk up to the range and it's like Pro V1s, Pro V1X over there. Pick your poison. Here's a nice little bag. Take as many as you want. Go nuts.
Right.
And I think I might have told you the coolest thing was it's not that just on the first day they're all brand new. It's every day.
So that's insane.
Every day it's all brand. All those balls that were used on Wednesday, they didn't go back into the rotation.
How many of those balls made it in your bag?
That's not something that I can discuss. but what I would I know why, going up to the event, just watching Tin Cup and watching him talk to Romeo, these brand new Titleists, throw some of these,
right.
Get enough. If we steal enough shit, maybe we can pay for this fiasco.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to assume. I mean, even the pros are doing it. I mean, guys are for sure taking balls.
I took a few balls in my bag, but I carried in my practice rounds both days, so I wasn't looking to lumber around a bunch of range balls. I don't play them either. That's the other thing. I play the TPX, the TP5 or whatever.
Yeah. So now you're laying in bed the night before, right? It's Friday night. What are you thinking about? Just everything that you kind of prepared. Obviously I'm sure you're thinking about pin placements and stuff like that. And then you get up and you go out. What was the first tee like? Was that, if not the most nervous you've ever been, or was it pretty fluid?
So far from fluid. It was the furthest thing from fluid. No, the night before, nothing, that's the one thing after playing in these events, not this particular event, but just playing in events. I think I've gotten myself to the point where I'm pretty comfortable, going in events. I'm more excited than anything else. I like to compete.
Right.
And that's not to say that I don't get nerves. I mean, I certainly get nerves, but compared to 10 years ago, the first time you start playing tournament golf and, you have to putt out that 2-footer, sometimes it's nerve wracking.
Yeah.
And I still get to that point, but before this event, no, I felt prepared more than anything. I just wanted to get rest. I just wanted to make sure that I was, rested up for the next day.
Right.
And then the first tee, so I teed off on the the back nine at Erin Hills. So it's a perfect tee ball for me. Like it's, the fairway is probably 65 yards wide.
Mm-hmm.
It's up and over a hill, but it's set up for a cut. And, like a high cut for me is like, that's fine.
Yeah.
Is my perfect shot to play. But I walked up and, like my hands were shaking, but I wasn't nervous. It was like just my body just started like malfunctioning. It's like just standing over the ball. I was like, all right, I'm not nervous. Like hit a shot, but like, why are your hands shaking? Like, I don't feel uncomfortable, but like I'm shaking.
Right.
And I hit a ball high cut. It was probably like 315 down the right center. Like it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like I hit it great or, kind of like a wobbly swing. And after I hit the ball and like, right when you hit it, it's a good one.
Yeah.
So I knew it was good. I looked up, confirmed it was good. My tee had gone flying forward and I wasn't the last one to tee off, but I was so like jumpy that I just started walking like forward. Like I just hit it, like recoiled and just started like, I didn't even know where I was walking. I just started walking.
Right.
Because I saw the tee going that way and then it was lost. And I was like, oh, like someone else is behind you. Like get back over on the side. Like,
yeah.
I got a video of it. It's actually hilarious. Like I watched myself and was like, oh yeah, that's how nervous I was. Like I didn't know where to go, what to do.
You were jacked up, man. I mean, your playing partners might have thought you were doing the Tiger, like, walk behind where you hit it and then you start watching it and start walking.
Yeah.
But so you get the first tee out of the way. Let's jump to you teed off on what, the back you said?
Yeah, teed off in the back.
So then what are you through 9 on day one?
Let's put it a different way. What was I through 2 on day one? Through 2, I was 1 under.
Okay.
Through 9, I believe I was 8 over.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It had to be something like that. I had to shoot 43 or 44 on the front. And I think maybe I shot 1 over on the back.
So
I shot 81, I think.
Was that just a particular hole or, was the course playing super tough?
No, I think it was just, my game didn't exactly travel. I didn't feel particularly sharp going up there. Like,
yeah,
I felt sharp leading up to the qualifier, but then like with a month, and just trying to prepare for it and everything, like I didn't feel sharp going up there.
Yeah.
But I birdied the first, like after that drive, birdied the first hole, part of the second, and then I hit driver the entire time. Like I was just going pedal to the metal and I didn't hit it particularly bad, but I didn't hit it great either. Like I was hitting the ball really well. It was just, I was 10 yards off,
right?
15 yards off. Like there's maybe 2 squirrely ones on the day, but everything was pretty solid, just a little bit in the wrong positions. And then, caught a couple unplayable lies, like,
right. Over the course of, let's just say the first 2 days, right? Did you notice playing with the guys you were playing with, obviously all playing in the US Mid-Am, did you notice a huge difference between those guys and then, the guys that you've played with in CDJ tournaments or even the Flossmoor tournament? Like, was there a huge difference? And obviously not all of the guys, right? But like, the top 10% there. Was there like, can you look over and then say, well, that guy's a stud?
Yeah, well, I certainly saw some guys on the range that I, recognized. Watching guys hit balls in the short game area was, different.
Yeah.
It's a lot more controlled than you would see generally, but no, I mean, so many of the guys around here are guys that are all capable of qualifying for this event as well. Like, a lot of the guys I've played with are guys that have played in these events. One of the guys I played with over the 36, I think he missed it. He missed match play by a stroke. Beautiful game. like in certainly things that I was envious in terms of like how he flighted the ball compared to how I flight the ball. But I think everyone's kind of unique. I think everyone's good.
Yeah.
Like very good. And I think all the guys that were there, were capable of shooting very low numbers. It's just a matter of if it shows up then.
Right. And maybe I should have worded that different. I was just curious if the talent level was like noticeably different, or if it was just relatively the same, but a little bit better. You know what I mean?
Deeper. It's almost like Division I, like since I played baseball in college, like we played in NAIA, like our starting 9, or 10 or 11 guys were great.
Yeah.
But maybe we didn't have the depth as like a Division I program. Like all the guys there could play at a Division I program or at least be on a team.
Right.
But the second half of the roster isn't like that. So, at the state level, playing in like the state mid-am and stuff, like these guys are all fantastic golfers. Like, and at the US level, it was very similar.
Right.
I would imagine, like if I was on the range and, someone stood out, like I would certainly tell you, but as I walked through it, like I just recognized that everyone was pretty good.
Yeah.
It's exactly what I would expect.
Right. So day 1 wraps up and you're in the clubhouse, you and your caddy, I'm assuming are sitting there kind of talking through your round. Are you satisfied in a way with how your round went? Are you, were you kind of just happy it was over? Did you wish you could, have another shot at it? What were you kind of feeling after day 1?
I think I wanted to tell myself that I was, comfortable with how it all went. And I think that was just trying to control the mindset. I knew if I wanted to get anywhere close to, making match play, I was going to have to shoot a crazy number the next day. So I think I was already in my mind thinking of how to do that.
Yeah.
Not feeling comfortable with my game. But no, I mean, for as much as I could have been like upset about how I played, like I actually didn't strike the ball that bad. Like, and that's frankly what we talked about. It was, I wasn't hitting the ball that bad. I was just in bad positions. So it very easily could have been, a mid-70s round. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. Like that was the mindset. It was,
Right.
Didn't hit it that bad. Maybe I can figure out something and turn it around. Not likely, but at the end of the day, this is awesome because we were sitting on the patio at Erin Hills, having lunch, watching guys finish up with the USGA flags flying.
Right. I was just going to ask that. Did you have to keep reminding yourself like, hey, let's not get too down on ourselves or beat ourselves up. But let's enjoy the moment. Let's kind of soak it in. And to your point earlier, like, let's just go out there, let it rip. Let's not, leave anything behind. Were you still kind of in that mindset?
Yeah. With a side dish of, disappointment.
Right.
Of course, because especially starting off the day with a birdie, I was like, okay, like, all right, let's go. And, the first hole means nothing, but, that was a good feeling, like that was a relief early on. And then, I had a bad front with some things that I would have liked back, and definitely would have done differently, but I stuck to what I was trying to do. So I was comfortable in that fact.
Right. So now day 2, do you switch anything up? Do you have a new kind of mindset, or are you sticking to your guns and, or did you pull driver less, or did you do anything different heading into day 2?
Well, day 2 ended up being day 3 because we got rained out on Sunday. And then Monday, I was supposed to have like a 12:45 tee time on Sunday. Sunday got rained out. Then I didn't think we were going to play Monday either. So I drove back to Chicago, figured that we'd play Tuesday, figured I'd tee off at around 12:45 on Tuesday. I think I got the text at like, I don't know, maybe 12:15 on Monday that my tee time would be 5:45 p.m. on Monday.
Jesus.
So I had to drive back up there to make the tee time to play, whatever, 3 or 4 holes.
Yeah.
Knew I was out of it. So for that, I knew I was only going to play like 4 or 5 holes that day. And I knew I was going to have to go through 4, full warm up. I knew the weather was going to be garbage. So my mindset there was, okay, go out here, try to, score really quickly. It's soft, try to do something that, to get yourself back to 6 or 7 over, so that you can play the next day and get fired up and try to play like a great 14 holes of golf.
Yeah. And
try to figure it out by then. Went out and teed off on that second round of Blue Mound, hit driver, did not change strategy. I hit driver the entire time. Yeah. Proceeded to like hook it dead left into the trees, nuked it up into a bunker, like chunked it out of the bunker, onto the green, 3-putted, like doubled right out of the gates at a 5:55 p.m. tee time.
Right.
2.5 hours away after driving back there. I think I doubled the next hole, parred the next one, and maybe, so I think I had 2 doubles in the 5 holes I played. It was like, all right. Yeah. All right. We're done.
Right.
We're out of this.
So then, so now with kind of knowing that, were you able to enjoy the next 14 holes a little bit differently than, the previous, 2022?
Yeah. Well, I think I enjoyed all the holes. I think by the time I got in the second round and the third day, so finishing the second round, I already wanted to work on a bunch of stuff. Like I knew I was out of it. I'm playing golf at a nice course. Like I want to hit shots, try to change whatever I wanted to change. So like going through that process, I think that was frustrating for me at times, but it was always just kind of going back to like, this is great. Like you're here, experience it, take everything that you can out of it, because next time you're going to be a little bit more competitive.
Right. So that leads me to my next question. Did you leave there, maybe on the way home? And I'm sure you've had plenty of time to think about this now, but did you leave there knowing like, hey, like, well, one, you obviously have some confidence, you could play with those guys, but did you leave there with kind of a sense of like, now I know what to expect next time?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And like I said, like my mindset going up there was to be aggressive and play aggressive and try to shoot like something in the mid 60s.
Yeah.
Like, cause I know that's one way to do it, instead of just plodding around and trying to overthink it and being conservative and taking, conservative swings instead of being aggressive.
Yeah.
But yeah, leaving there, like, I know I have to manage the game better, but I also, mechanically wanted to change a few things and just flights of, how to flight the ball a little bit differently. Like I hit the ball really high. I don't think that, will pan out for me over the long term. So like just little things, nuggets that I'm going to take away is to,
sure,
okay, this is how you stay competitive. Because, my game, like if I go out there and play my game, and if I'm, playing like I do here, I'm good enough to get into that match play.
Right.
100%. I'm good enough to do it. Right. It's just a matter of, now just grinding a little bit more.
Right.
So that the next time, I'm more prepared to actually succeed, I guess.
Right. And then, once you get into the match play, that's a whole different game in itself too. Now you're playing your opponent opposed to the course, and things are a little bit different then, which I'm sure you're very, very well. So now the tournament wraps up. Do you get anything, an invite or anything like that in 2023 from playing in the US Mid-Am?
No, nothing.
Just a thanks.
Thanks for coming out. Congratulations. It was a great thing that you accomplished, and good luck trying to do it again next year.
I was going to say, hopefully we see you next year. I'm sure they gave you a bunch of swag and stuff like that. I think you mentioned, a welcome package and stuff like that. But, did you get any, did you get the bib, or did the caddy take that? Yeah. So the bibs, a little inside story about the bibs. They are not yours to take. I was under the impression that they were.
but they are not yours to take. And no, they collect those, and they are very on top of that.
Really?
Yeah.
So I've heard that through, obviously, Ryan French from Monday Qualifier, when him and Mark went and played the Barracuda, and Mark went on that run and qualified. Ryan stole the bib, and then like a year later, like openly tweeted to the Barracuda, like, yeah, I took the bib. And basically telling on himself. And the Barracuda was like, obviously he was jokingly, it was all fun and games via Twitter, but like Ryan's even mentioned that too. Like, they look after those bibs, they collect them. You legitimately have to like steal it to get it out of there. So I'm not surprised by that at all.
Listen, and maybe it was just the golf course staffer. I don't know who was involved, but I bore witness to one of the caddies getting chased into the parking lot.
Really?
To have it, be returned.
Wow. So
and that's what left the impression on me, because I was like, oh man, like, they want those things back for sure.
That's crazy. I mean, they obviously can't cost that much. I don't get why they just don't let guys have them.
I don't know. I don't know. But I just found it funny because I didn't know, didn't matter. But just,
right. So now that you've gone through that experience, right? And, you got to play in the US Mid-Am, and what has it been? 2 months, a little bit more now, longer than that. 3?
Yeah, about 2 months. It was September 11th.
Okay. So, now you've had some time, obviously with the newborn. I'm sure that's kind of consumed most of, your thoughts, but just thinking back on it, what are some key takeaways that kind of, come to mind when you think about, man, what just a great experience. What a journey. What 2022 for you, I'm sure, had to be insane.
The year was great. It seems like just another year, like, in the progression, and for whatever reason, I like this progression of, trying to improve every year, and strictly because it's continued to happen.
Yeah.
I was playing, low level local events, 10 years ago, and I've now made it to a national event, and now getting a taste of that. Michael Fassard was telling me, he's like, that's the only place you'll ever want to play now. Like, once you do it, that's all you're going to want to do. And it's totally true. Like, just the USGA, the prestige of their events, but like, I like competing against great players, and they organize just fantastic events at great places. And they do it just so well, in my opinion, but obviously I have nothing to compare it to. Maybe the Illinois Open, but I enjoy the Illinois Open too. But, the US Mid-Am was way cooler for me.
Yeah. Would you kind of chalk it up in a way, like, as, you laid a bunch of good bricks this year, or stones, to kind of build on for the future, and take that experience and say, okay, well, now I've experienced it's over. I know what I need to do to get back, and then from there, I'm assuming there's some type of game plan.
Yeah, but so definitely, I think I learned a lot of things, and I think that I'll be able to take those things moving forward, but I don't really know. Like, I still hit a ton of terrible shots all the time, like, so.
Your terrible shots and my terrible shots are very different. So I'm sure your shots are, you're just hitting tighter terrible shots. Our terrible shots are much wider.
My bad ones are still really bad. So, I don't know. I think it would be too much to expect that I would get into more of these events, but, just as I've gone through this and gotten better every year, like, I would expect that I'm going to continue to get better. Do I exactly know what I'm doing? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the things that I took away from that experience, just like the first time I played in the state amateur, the first time I played in the mid amateur, the first time I played in the Illinois Open, like, you take things away from those, you become more comfortable. And then, maybe I don't need to know more, have a game plan. I'll just kind of have picked those things up and will just improve.
Right. Well, and so that brings me to a good point. So in 2023, are you targeting more tournaments to play in necessarily, or are you still obviously going to play in the same, state am tournaments and the I-80 and stuff like that, or are you kind of going to go out of your way and make it a point to play in more tournament golf to kind of get, potentially back to the U.S. Mid-Am?
Yeah. So it's funny you say that, because I think I probably can't play more events. I think if anything, just, as the family continues to grow, it's always going to go backwards.
Right.
I thought maybe I would just, focus on big events, but like, who am I to just focus on big events? And then, then you don't get to play in all the other events, because why? You're focusing on those. And what if you focus on those and just do miserably in them? You're wasting all those opportunities to play and compete and be sharp and win prestigious things. Like, the U.S. mid-amateur is such a long shot of doing anything in it, but like being highly competitive in the state amateur, the Illinois amateur is definitely something that's on my target. But I think the goal for next year more than anything is, and just going forward, is to be exempt into more events. I've been exempt into several events over the years where I qualified based on the play before, the year before.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything moving forward, I just want to be exempt into as many events as I can be. So that means not only continually to qualify for them this year, but then once I get in them, do well enough to where I don't even have to qualify the next year.
Yeah.
That
makes sense. I mean, that's another way of I guess confirming, like, hey, my play is steadily getting better. If I'm playing well in these tournaments, next year getting the exemption, so forth and so on. You're kind of building, these little stones, and you're just piling them up. And then, to your point, who knows where it's going to take you? Like, I kind of, I'm envious of that mindset, to where, like, it seems like you don't really put a ton of stress on yourself. You kind of just let it play how it's going to play out. If it happens, it happens. Obviously, I'm sure you do a lot more planning than that, and it's a little bit more structured, but it doesn't seem like you beat yourself up on the small things, is what I'm getting at.
Which wasn't always the case.
Yeah.
Like that was never always the case. And now, with a family, like there's much greater perspective. Like, I'm not a professional golfer by any means.
Right.
I love it. I'm definitely passionate about it. But yeah, 10 years ago, I'd beat myself up, about hitting a bad shot, but
yeah,
why? And it's not, it is so much between your ears.
Yeah.
That's not how I want to play anymore. And that's not enjoyable, really.
It's not. And, coming from a former kind of hothead, up until probably 3 years ago, just, I feel you. The game wasn't enjoyable. I wasn't enjoyable to play with. Totally understand what you're saying there. And even in the last couple of years, I've noticed, even with a bad round, as long as I go out and enjoy the time, like me and you played Stony Creek 2 weeks ago. I mean, I haven't swung a club in 2 months, but you even said, like, you would think that this is your first time out this year because you're just so happy.
Yeah.
And that's how I wish I could play golf all the time. Now, it would be a lie if I told you that was the case, but I would like to get to that point to where it's like, just go hit shots and go and enjoy yourself, and don't worry so much about the score. Obviously, we're comparing apples and oranges. I mean, you're playing competitive golf and I'm just playing, recreational. But I think there's definitely a similar correlation there. Looking back on your time spent at Erin Hills and playing in the U.S. Mid-Am, where would you say that ranks in terms of, like, your amateur career? Is that the top of the top?
Yeah, I mean, if you're putting a resume out, right?
Yeah,
like that's the only thing that I think anyone would care about.
Right.
Winning the club championship at Calumet in 17 was probably the peak before then.
Yeah.
Because we had such good players at that club. Like, it was a great club. And that was like, the first time I felt like, okay, like, I can play with the better players, around here. Of course, it was 5 years ago, but yeah, now get into a USG event, and Tom, it could be the only one I ever play in.
Yeah.
It certainly could be, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that it's not.
Right. And that's, see, that's what I'm talking about. That perspective right there. I like that. I mean, you never know what, tomorrow or the next day or the next week could bring you, but the biggest thing is you played in it. You enjoyed it. You got to experience it. It's something that a very few people will ever do in their life. So we were all rooting for you, obviously. I remember not reaching out to you specifically for like 3 days afterwards, because I'm like, I kind of want to let him, even if he is mad, kind of let him, decompress, but also soak it in, because I know I talked to you prior to, and you were just like, I wouldn't say anxious, but you were hungry. You even said, I'm hungry. And that was when you were watching the US Open videos, but you could tell you were jacked up. And then I remember, talking to you, I'm like, Kyle, I'm ready to run through a brick wall for you. Like, because you were jacking me up. It was just awesome. And I'm assuming that's a lot of what you felt throughout that whole week.
Yeah. 100%. And that's to your point about like people being interested in something that I did. Like, so many people reached out, and if anything, like the second round, like I was just bad at bashing the ball around, like didn't care, knew I was out of it. But if anything, and I think I might have told you this, like I wish I would have cared about the score a little bit more, just so it was a better showing for the people that did care. Like, it didn't even cross my mind, because I've had so many bad rounds, in events that I've qualified for, where I was in contention, where nobody's the wiser, like nobody knows, and I go home and I deal with, the repercussions of that bad round, but it's in silence. But now for someone to like actually see it, know it, and then see like how the result was, that I think that was probably like the biggest disappointment. Was like, man, I kind of wish I would have, just put up a better score just for the people that were actually paying attention. Cause that was super cool. Like, that's a cool thing.
It is. It's a great thing. And, there was a lot of people rooting for you. We're going to be rooting for you no matter what. I mean, I'm telling you, your score did not matter. It was just, we were so happy to be able to support and, see your name there and see what you were going through. And then obviously to catch up with you afterwards, and then say, hey man, we got to talk about this on the podcast, because this is just such a great story. But no, we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate your time. It's been a great ride, and I'm sure it's not going to be the last time.
That's the hope. That's the plan. I'll get you some of those range balls when I get a chance.
My man. All right, Kyle. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Tom.
All right. See you, buddy.
See you.
All right, folks. Welcome back. Rob, what a hell of an interview that was with Kyle. I told you, it's incredible to hear that perspective. He obviously learned a ton playing in that, and
I'm sure
he can't wait to get back. But Kyle, thanks for coming on once again. Rob, we're going to jump right in to the top three. Are you ready for the top three?
I'm ready for the top three.
All right, let's hear it.
All right. So, man, not being able to play sucks, right? Whether it's an injury or now the weather or whatnot. So I keep on, God, I find myself like looking at sales, especially with Black Friday, a Cyber Monday, been paying attention to all that stuff. I haven't, for some reason, I've gotten onto like Facebook Market now just to check to see what's out there, right? So it got me thinking, what are three things you're looking to purchase for your upcoming season for next year?
I like this, Rob. Big deals guy.
Big deals.
Big deals guy. Actually, I already made a couple deals.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I couldn't let the Travis Matthews deals pass.
Okay.
Specifically their shorts, because I have their pants.
Mm-hmm.
We went through this whole saga.
Sure.
Fuck you, Lululemon.
Yep.
Travis Matthew pants are literally the best pants I've ever worn. Not only for golf, but I wear them to work. They're just great all around. Anyways, so when their shorts went on sale, they're typically like, $70. The shorts were basically 60% off. I think a pair was like $32. So
Oh, really?
yeah, I copped a couple pairs of those. And then we do like a family grab bag and stuff like that. And my request every year is just golf balls.
Sure.
So, because I figure I don't have to really buy golf balls until like the middle of summer.
Sure.
If, depending on how I'm playing or regardless. But yeah, I just load up on Pro V1s or Pro V1Xs, or anything really, and just load the bag up, load the garage up. So yeah, I would say 3 of the shorts, 2 balls, and then number 1, I've been looking, Rob, for I don't know, probably 2 months for a new pair of golf spikes.
Ah, there you go.
And I keep searching for the TW 12s or 14s. I always forget which year, on eBay, as I do every year.
Right.
Still can't find them.
Pretty sure they're 13s, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm looking. I don't understand. It kind of drives me nuts, the whole golf shoe thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nice like athletic shoes out there that golf companies could simply just slap a pair of spikes on. But I feel like they overthink the golf shoe, and they try to do too much with them.
Sure.
With colors and
Yep.
and fucking the turnbuckles and all this other nonsense. Like, just put out a clean looking shoe. That's all I ask, Rob. So I would say golf spikes number 1. How about you?
There you go. Yeah, it was. I don't need new clubs. I don't need new clubs.
No
But
shit.
I've been finding myself like, especially on the forums, like, they're talking about the new 699s coming out in January, stuff like that. But no, I think number 3 would be golf balls for sure. Definitely want to look for deals for that. Gift cards, obviously, for Christmas, send them my way because I'll easily just go stack up on those balls. Two, I'm in the market for a new putter. I do want to move on to something.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. That Scotty Cameron Phantom's got me like really. That's what I find myself looking for the most on like the marketplace or eBay or whatever. So that's number 2 for sure. Been one of the guys that plays on a tour. He had the new one this past summer, and just like it was great sight line, everything. I felt like the Spider, but a little bit heavier, and I like that. So that's the number 2 right now. So I'm gonna put that on my Christmas list for Katie. And then number 1 would be golf shoes. I got my eye on some Jordans dropping pretty soon, so that would be my number 1 right now.
So another 2 questions. Do you have a specific putter you're targeting? You said Spider. Is that the one you're going after, or
no, the Phantom? I think it's the Phantom.
Okay.
Scotty Cameron. I think that's what it's called. I think it's the 5.5 with the.
Are you one of those guys that has to have a Scotty Cameron?
I have Scotty Camerons.
I know, but like you wouldn't. What I'm saying is like you can't replace your Scotty Cameron with like an Odyssey. Like you need to continue on with Scotty Cameron.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Well, I mean, the Spider right now is in the bag, but I would like to get back to playing a Scotty. It might be just a mental thing or just the way I like how it looks. But yeah, I would like to find a Scotty that felt like like the Spider with a mallet, where it was balanced and not because the mid mallet I have, I like it, but sometimes I feel that the shorter putts, it doesn't, the lineup isn't right. So yeah, I would, that's like my big wish list this off season.
Okay. And then, so the other thing about the shoes, like, I know you're a guy that obviously you rep like the low Air Jordan, whatever ones, I think they are.
Yeah, the ones. Yep.
Like those don't have any traction on them, right?
It's funny because I find myself like really looking at like phenols, and I feel like his are different, where it's like he gets obviously probably special custom ones because his spikes, you could see the traction on his Like the ones that are for the public, the
Right.
ones, yeah, they're not very. It's almost like you're wearing your gym shoe, pretty much.
So that's part of the other issue I have with these new golf spikes that they've seemed to come out with, when they're just like, yeah, this is a golf shoe, and I look at the bottom of it, and I'm like, that's not a golf shoe.
Yeah, right.
You know, and I'm not looking for, you know, like the replaceable cleat on like a shoe like that, but,
Sure.
but give me something to
Yeah.
where, you know, I'm not slipping out of like a wet box on an early morning.
No, exactly, and that's that's one of the things I find. That's what I'm like, the 12s that are coming out. Those are the ones I want to get, and they have full spikes on the bottom and traction. So we'll see, but that's the top list right now.
Gotcha. Well, it's a good list. And we'll dive more into probably more Christmas lists as we continue throughout the December month. But until next time, Rob, we'll see you in the fairway, big guy.
See you in fairway, Tom.
See you, buddy.